Well, tonight, more public condemnation of Ghana's Attorney General following his meeting with an accused person in the residence of a sitting justice of the Supreme Court. With growing calls for a further probe, former director of the Ghana School of Law says Godfrey Dame must resign.
Manner. I mean, if he has a conscience, no one should advise him. He has to advise himself to resign.
Well, more as a private legal practitioner calls for a commission of inquiry or a parliamentary probe into the allegations that Attorney General tried to get an accused person to incriminate the minority leader.
It goes beyond a simple trial of some 2-3 people. It goes deep into the criminal justice system. We should be looking at a commission of inquiry or at least a parliamentary inquiry into this.
Well, tonight, in his defense, the attorney says the time the meeting was held, the accused person did not have a lawyer.
At the material time that these meetings took place, or this meeting took place, Mr. Jakpa was not represented by counsel.
Well, tonight, former director of the Ghana School of Law, Mr. Ansah Sare, is calling for the resignation of the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfrey Dame, for meeting with a third accused in the ongoing trial of Dr. K.C. Alatoforsen, businessman Richard Jakpa. The Attorney General has denied any wrongdoing in the meeting with the accused. But speaking to Emefa Apawu on the media news earlier today, Mr. Ansah said since the Attorney General knows that it is unlawful to meet with an accused person outside of the provisions of the law, then the AG, having met with Mr. Jakpa in the residence of a sitting justice of the Supreme Court, must resign or be sacked by the president.
My candid opinion is that the learned Attorney General knows or is deemed to know the law. Apart from the judges, I think the other person we can say the law rests in its bosom is the Attorney General. The Attorney General ought to know where, how, and when he has to meet accused persons. And in the residence of a sitting justice of the Supreme Court. This is scandalous. And the Attorney General must resign or the President must fire him. This thing happened in 1975 in the case of the Republic versus Dr. Isaac Onyinijan. A similar plea bargaining was entered into by the then learned Attorney General, who was also the acting dean of the Faculty of Law, the University of Ghana. Mr. Justice Austin Emisa. And Ghanaians will recall that it was that similar plea bargaining that caused Austin Emisa his job as Attorney General. For my respectable Dame to engage himself in this scandalous manner, I mean, if he has a conscience, no one should advise him. He has to advise himself to resign. Whether he can continue cross-examining him or not is neither here nor there. Mind you, under Article 88, Clause 1 of the 1992 Constitution, the Attorney General is the principal legal advisor to the Chief Executive of the state and the government of the Republic of Ghana. Under Article 88, 4 and 5, he has not only audience, but absolute control over the prosecution and conduct of criminal cases throughout the country. But my candid opinion is, let's discuss this, within the context of Article 19, fair trial. Will Alatoforsen have fair trial given the circumstances, or will Richard Jakpa have fair trial under the circumstances?
Well, Mr. Ansah's comments coming on the back of a call by private legal practitioner and law lecturer Dr. Justice Remsai calling for a commission of inquiry or a special parliamentary probe into the allegations. Speaking on the probe Sunday evening, Dr. Remsai argued that given the weighty nature of the allegation and how it affects the country's criminal justice system, a special probe is required to bring a closure to the controversy.
This has never happened in our jurisdiction. I mean, I'm not aware that these things have happened before. How we handle this is going to define how we respect criminal justice throughout generations to come. When things like this happen, let's go back to history. When strange things happen in a country and things they've never happened before, what we often do is to set up a commission of inquiry. So if you look at all the commissions of inquiry from May 9 disaster, from all the commissions of inquiry, it is when things like this happen, which have never happened before, and we want an honest and open conversations about them, and we want a permanent solution to some of these things, we set up a commission of inquiry to have an open conversation. And
that's what you are leaning towards.
Yeah, that is what I think should happen under this, because it goes beyond a simple trial of some 2-3 people. It goes deep into the criminal justice system. We should be looking at a commission of inquiry, or at least a parliamentary inquiry into this.
Meanwhile, the Attorney General's Department says the AG did nothing wrong when he met Richard Jakpa without his lawyers. Spokesperson for the department, Isaac Wilberforce-Mensah, told Emefa Apawu that Richard Jakpa did not have a lawyer at the time AG met with him to discuss his plea bargain request.
At the material time that these meetings took place, or this meeting took place, Mr. Jakpa was not represented by counsel. Now,
Why?
If you look at Act 1079, a person, an attorney general or prosecution can do these plea negotiations either with the attorney general either with the accused person or his counsel. Now, this particular accused person, in the course of this trial, has changed lawyers about 4 times. This particular accused person started with, I think the lawyer on record initially was Randolph Tumisi, and then moved on to, I think, one Eko Kosa or so.
But I'm not sure there was any point in time that he did not have representation.
You would realize that even when he was asked to open his defense, he did not have a lawyer. So there were several instances where he did not have a lawyer.
Okay.
There were several instances when he did not come to court. There was not even a lawyer in court representing him. So at the time the incident happened, he did not have a lawyer. As the negotiations continued, the accused person had fired the lawyer at the time.
Well, many have asked the question, why did the AG not defend himself when the matter was brought up in court for the first time? Well, Isaac Wilberforce-Mensah says the AG will raise the matter again in court when he cross-examines Richard Jakpa if he deems it is important.
It's not as if it's the Attorney General who was cross-examining the third accused person, Richard Jakpa. The Attorney General will have the chance to cross-examine Richard Jakpa. So it is not even tidy for there to be a back and forth in open court, especially when the matters stated by the same third accused person are not even matters in contention in respect of the offense to which he has been charged. So I don't know if you're expecting the learned Attorney General with all his experience to also respond in an angry manner or to be calm and then respond at the appropriate time. He will have the chance to cross-examine Richard Jakpa, and if he finds it important, remember, the people or the 2 persons on trial are being charged especially for causing or willfully causing financial loss to the state. A meeting that happened several years later has absolutely no bearing on an offense that prosecution has established and was supposed to establish that the offense was committed several years past.
Well, let's begin the conversation on this particular matter. We've been joined on the line by Mr. Ansah Sari, who is former director of the Ghana School of Law. I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Now, earlier you were making reference to a case in time where an attorney general lost his job because of the same, plea bargaining thing. How same is it to what is happening currently? I mean, you made reference to a case that happened.
Yes.
Exactly. Can you educate us on what exactly happened so that we could probably have the correlation between what happened then and what is happening now?
Okay, thank you. This incident happened in, I believe, 1975 or thereabouts. Dr. Onijan had been accused of participating in the murder of one of his security officers. And in the course of the trial, it became necessary for a plea bargain. Now, we need to understand what plea bargaining means. Plea bargaining is simply an informal procedure, usually conducted in the chambers of the Attorney General or the chambers of the trial judge, whereby the accused person could agree to plead guilty as an exchange for the prosecution to drop the case against him. That is what is meant by plea bargaining. In the case of Ohinijan, it was alleged that while the case was going on, he had made overtures to Jekedako, then the nation's top prosecutor, and the judge, that he would rather plead guilty as an exchange for the prosecution to drop the case against him instead of, going through a full-scale trial. Simple and short. But the circumstances surrounding the plea bargaining were such that Otenemisa, who was not only the Attorney General, but was also Dean of the Faculty of Law of the University of Ghana, misconducted himself. That was the allegation. And he was made to resign. This was during the era of the National Redemption Council, as the NRC, under General Kutu example. Here we are. History has repeated itself. Dame is an Attorney General. He knows what the process of plea bargaining involves. He knows that if he has to do it, it has to be carried out in his chambers or the chambers of the trial judge. At this time, what he did was to accept an invitation. Whether that is true or not, we cannot tell. And believe you me, this matter cannot, be tried in any ordinary court. What is likely to happen is that the executive will request the special prosecutor to take charge of the case, and then it will be buried in filth. Trust me. Therefore, what we must do as a nation is to urge the Attorney General to resign. I am indifferent as to whether, this case is tried, to the end or not, because he will be acquitted anyway. If it is to be handled by the special prosecutor, they are friends. He will acquit him. And if you want an example, Cecilia Dapa, I told my students that the Cecilia Dapa matter will be curtailed midway.
So you are
be handled.
Ms. Zanza, are you alleging that if this case is given to the special prosecutor, it will be buried and that nothing good will come out of it? Is that what you're saying?
Present, why those people were present, who did what? So what happened cannot be described as a plea bargain. It's pure and simple, a deal that has been botched. That's all. Okay. It's not, it doesn't meet the requirements of a plea bargain.
Okay.
It doesn't at all.
Stay with me. Let me bring in private legal practitioner Samson Ladi Ayenini. Grateful to you, Samson, for joining us here. Now, how tenable is the excuse that the accused did not have a lawyer at the time the AG was meeting him? And if it is true, how does that affect the allegations of wrongdoing on the part of the AG?
No.
Those are matters of fact. And matters of fact, in the manner that we have come to be told, should not be difficult to be established through an inquiry. It is the reason from the very day I started to share my view on this matter, I said that the matters are so serious, they are so weighty, and they go to first because there is the potential implications of, crime and professional misconduct. It will be important that the matters are gone into in the interest of the parties, in the interest of the office of the Attorney General, and in the interest of criminal justice delivery above all. Now, whether at the time he had a lawyer, he did not have a lawyer, we cannot establish that on radio. The facts will have to be adduced before, the evidence will have to be adduced before an inquiry, a panel, so that things can be properly established. So we don't end up imputing wrong when someone may not have done wrong. That's the point I'm making. And to give a suggestion, there's one impression that is created in the public by the display of the letters requesting for plea bargain and the commentary on the back of those letters. Plea bargain is permitted by law. Previously, since 1960 or so, and then not too long ago in 2022, this Attorney General led a very laudable process to pass the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Amendment Act 2022, Act 1079. Now, let me read a portion to you. It says that in Section 162A, it's on plea negotiations. It says, a person charged with a criminal offense may at any time before judgment, so the trial can be going on for as long as you haven't gotten to judgment. The person who is accused, the law says, has the right, is entitled to seek to, it says, negotiate with the Attorney General for a plea agreement, except that if you go to subsection 3, it says where the accused person is represented by counsel, that is if they have a lawyer, the plea negotiation shall be between the prosecutor and the counsel for the accused person. If they say at this time, when the negotiation was going on, or whatever it was, there was no counsel for the accused, I'm sure that when we check the record of proceedings in the court, but why should that be our job, really? So that if you have a panel properly constituted, they will help with all of this, so that we don't end up saying somebody should be sacked, somebody should resign, when we have not done what we must do to be firm about what the allegations really are. And so, number one, plea bargaining is not something that is criminal or wrong. The law says you plea bargain to achieve about 4 things. Number one, to reduce the offense charged so that you may get a lesser offense. You say you are guilty, and then you could get a lesser offense for a higher offense that you were charged with. You could also get a withdrawal of the charge against you. So you could be the charges will be withdrawn and then you'll be free. You could also get to reduce the punishment for the offense charge within the law that is prescribing that offense. So plea bargaining is not wrong. Blake, the one thing that is curious to me, though, is that when you follow the narrative so far, the narrative suggests that he entered into a plea bargain and then there was a rejection from the Attorney General, I am asking myself a question. One accused person, through its company, the Big C, makes a plea proposal, and the proposal is to pay 2 million euros. The total amount for which they are standing trial is 2.3 something, about 2.4 million. I want to understand why the 2 million was rejected. That doesn't sound too well to me. It doesn't sound too good to me. Why was the 2 million euros? And if you read the narrative, it says that later, because this was rejected, there was an enhancement of the 2 million euros. If one accused person, in a case where there are 3 standing trial, and one offers that amount, and we understand that Atuforsen was requested to indicate whether he also wanted a plea, and he said no or something to that effect, which means we're just one person. The state was in the position to recover over 2 million euros out of 2.4 million euros. I don't know in the circumstances for which that kind of amount will be rejected. So I am interested in that one as well.
Okay.
But at this stage, I think that we all ought to be cautious in proceeding with so much emphasis and being categorical about things that we can allow due process to unfold. And
you seem to disagree with calls for him to resign now?
Someone resigning, that one is at their discretion to do. But I've heard him ask for dismissal outright. But the question I ask myself is, the law is that you don't condemn a person unless you have heard them. That's the basic principle of law. So if the person is accused of something, and then we don't offer an opportunity to go into what exactly the situation is, and to establish as a matter of fact. Because remember, whilst the Attorney General stands the risk of criminal prosecution if the claims of attempting to fabricate evidence is concerned are proven, which is a second-degree felony, could get up to 10 years in jail, there is also the aspect of professional misconduct if it is proven. And that could also lead to losing your license permanently from practicing as a lawyer. But the other side of the issue is that the person who is making these allegations that have such dire implications also stands the risk of perjury, the offense of perjury, which is also a second-degree felony, which could lead him into 10 years in jail. I say we don't have to continue an endless debate and a media war, which will not get anywhere. There has to be a constituted inquiry that takes over all of these matters and goes through the process in compliance with due process, so that in the end, we will all be satisfied that the law has been followed. Somebody did wrong, they have been punished. Somebody did not do wrong, they have been discharged.
Well, some are proposing a parliamentary inquiry or probe. Which form should a probe take?
I appreciate that proposal, particularly from Dr. Strem's side, because his argument is that the office of the Attorney General, and I keep saying this, it is not a mere place. It is a very important place, just like, Dr. Ansansari had just said. The office is a very important place. Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution provides for that office. So Dr. Samsai says, because he is a constitutionally created office, he may not be subject to the same rules that ordinary lawyer like me would have suffered if this thing were about me, and then a complaint would have gone to the General Legal Counsel. I don't exactly agree with that because he's a lawyer to begin with. And in fact, it is your being a lawyer that qualifies you to become the Attorney General. Now, the point here again is that Article 88, the importance of it is that our Attorney General is not only the Attorney General, but is also the Minister for Justice. These are two important roles. In this country, by our Constitution, there cannot be criminal prosecution, initiation of criminal process and prosecution without the Attorney General. There cannot be a civil process against the state without the Attorney General. That is how important the Attorney General is. The Attorney General is the one that is the principal legal advisor to the government. And the president gives him, duties, refers cases to him or matters to him to attend to for you and I on our behalf. So it's a very serious place. If something like this comes up about his office, and then we get confirmations that, oh, yes, indeed, something happened, but this is how it happened. That is how it didn't happen this way. And we begin to play it in the normal propaganda political game. It is not good because the image of that office has to be protected. The image of the individual occupying that office also has to be protected.
Okay.
So let's go to it in a proper way so that in the end, if these claims are proven and somebody is found guilty, then they suffer the consequences for it.
Okay.
Then we purge the system and the criminal justice system is upheld. Elsewhere, this will be something that may lead to a mistrial. The entire case will be botched and the attempt to recover the money will be lost, not on the merits.
But Dr. Ansari also raises an important point that if he's still the Attorney General, there won't be fair trial for Dr. Atoforsen and all the accused persons, including Mr. Jakpa himself.
In the normal processes, when an inquiry begins, the people affected will be made to step aside if they are public office holders. Well,
but let me bring in Mr. Ansari here. So you've listened to something like Ladia and in it there. He thinks that we should allow the processes to take its course. There should be an inquiry to look into it to ensure that, because of the sensitivity of the office, the right things are done so we can have the right remedies. You don't agree?
I respect my friend's view, but on this issue, I beg to differ. First of all, what the Attorney General's brings to the fore a moral question. Morally, it is simply not right for him to remain in office while in the inquiry goes. Secondly, my friend has conceded that the Attorney General wields enormous powers. I don't believe that in this country there are two sets of laws, one for the Attorney General and one for the ordinary person. There is equality before the law under the Constitution. Now, if the Attorney General has misconducted himself or has compromised, his office, the honorable thing for him to do is to step aside, just resign.
So that's on a moral ground, right?
Yes, on moral ground. Then on political grounds, I don't think that Ghanaians now have any confidence in the justice system or any confidence in the commissions of inquiry established by the president.
But these allegations are not proven yet.
Not the human being president, but the office. Now, throughout the tenure of this present government, no commission of inquiry or committee of inquiry has successfully terminated in any findings. It's always been exoneration, even in the teeth of the government being engulfed or overwhelmed by scandal. So day in, day out, we repeat the same thing. If there's an inquiry, I predict that the dummy will be exonerated, even though he knows, and something within me tells me that the dummy I know did everything on his own. He must have been under pressure. But whether he was under pressure or he did it himself, my point is a plea bargaining process has parameters. And the parameters are that it can either or it may either be conducted in the chambers of the Attorney General, where all the processes and resources are made available, or in the chambers of the trial judge. So the Attorney General will be accompanied by one of his deputies, or by all means the DPP, that is the Director of Public Prosecution. Then the state attorneys handling the matter, the chief director, and the director of the DNI, because this borders on intelligence, and therefore the DNI director or a person authorized by him to represent him ought to be there. These people were not told, were there. What business? One may ask.
Directly to the question about absence of a lawyer.
Doc, the accused person and mind you, it was not the Attorney General who initiated the process.
Doc, I'm grateful to you, but just before we wrap up, let me bring in something, because something wants to make a point. Lawyer Laddie, you want to make a small point here?
Invited the Attorney General and the accused person.
On the question about if at the time the person didn't have a lawyer, the thing that we have to pay attention to is that we have heard the spokesperson for the Attorney General say that in the conversation with the accused person, the Attorney General was telling him, if I ask you this question, I want you to be direct and answer it and answer the question this way. If it is found that in that process there was an attempt to coach the witness, that is frowned on by our professional etiquette rules. You are not supposed, the law says, a lawyer shall not coach or encourage a witness to give evidence which that witness believes to be false. So people like the spokesperson must also be careful what they are saying. But you see, the bottom line is that, please, once again, let's converge everything. Let it converge at one point, a professional panel point, so that these things will be looked at. The law says if the Attorney General is doing prosecution and he finds, or the office finds, that there are evidences or information that can mitigate or negate the guilt of the accused, you should make it available to them. So if the claim here is that, there is something that is being planned, it suggests that maybe there is actually not a case.
Okay. All right.
Which is also bad enough. And
okay. Lawyer Laddie, Samson Laddie, and I'm grateful to you for joining, and also to Dr. Ansah Sari, former director of Ghana School of Law. Grateful to you. This has been Top Story. Up next is Newsnight.
Live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. This is Newsnight. Tonight, Minority on Mines and Energy Committee falls the Finance and Agric Ministries in the payment of $12 million to Power China International for no work done, as they serve notice of triggering parliamentary processes to hold ministers before the House over the Pugu Dam.
Tomorrow, and then we'll activate the parliamentary processes. We may summon the minister, we may constitute a committee to inquire and to get the facts.
More details as it emerges that government may have paid more than $12 million to the Chinese contractors.
Yeah, if they say this is final, then a lot more has been paid before. And if you ask me, I can give you a guesstimate, but I don't want to go there. I'm saying that a lot has been paid more than
Also tonight, ECG fully complies with cash waterfall mechanism payment as its revenue exceeds over 1 billion Ghana cedis, the highest since November 2023. We have details as PRC's March 2024 cash waterfall mechanism validation report shows Ministry of Finance has failed to make top-up payments earmarked for energy sector shortfall since August 2023. You want to stay for details of that?
Our beloved country, Ghana, has become a bankrupt, collapsed economy due to poor leadership of almost 8 years. Unemployment has jumped to 14.7% from 8.5% in 2017.
An economy that has collapsed, but that collapsed economy is performing better than your economy that you left us. He was creating unemployment with doomsday and everything.
Now it's the battle of flag bearers as the NDC's John Dramani Mahama and MPP's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia clash over who is better at running Ghana's economy. We'll also hear from the NDC flag bearer John Mahama, who is vowing to stabilize the city and abolish the e-levy in his first 100 days in office if elected. And then also tonight's Multimedia Group COO wins big at the 8th CEO Summit.
CEO of the Year Media, Radio, Multimedia Group, Ken Ansah.
And in business, Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison optimistic additional measures rolled out to stabilize city will yield the desired result.
And in sports, pressure is mounting on Heartful coach to improve the team's performance as the club teeters on the brink of relegation with only 3 games remaining.
And in our Clean Air series today, we'll tell you about Ivy Enyonam, who is on a mission to spread the gospel about indoor plants after finding relief from it.
I have a history of asthma because my air was bad and so I was always sick. So I went online and saw plants that can clean your air. And that's how I started.
That and more in tonight's edition of Newsnight. You want to join us with your thoughts? Your comment is via WhatsApp 055-1111-997. We're live on myjoyonline.com. We're on X Spaces and we're on Facebook. You can hit us with the hashtag Newsnight. I am Emefa Apawu. We take a quick break. We'll return with details.
I send them. You get them. I get them. I send them.
I get them.
I pay them.
Telesale cash. I get them. I pick them. Telesale cash.
You get them.
I send them. Telesale cash.
I send them. You get them.
Telesale cash.
I get them.
I buy them. I take them.
I pay them. I send them.
Telesale cash. Telesale cash.
Experience the ultimate convenience of sending money on Telesale Cash. Sending money from Telesale Cash to Telesale Cash is free. You can also make payments to merchants on all networks. Enjoy best value and total security with Telesale Cash.
Telesale, connecting energies.
Hello, Ghana. Are you tired of the same old political rhetoric? Do you believe it is time for a change that truly represents the voices of our youth, women, and children? I present to you Nana Kwame Bediako. He is a visionary leader with a passion for making our country better through innovative industrial revolution. Together, we can change the political narrative and create a government that truly represents the interest of all citizens. Join this journey to build a better and inclusive future for all by contributing to our Save Ghana Fund campaign. Your support, no matter the amount, is not just a donation. It is an investment in the shared desire for a more prosperous, equitable, and better nation. To donate, visit www.nkb.com.gh or dial *887 *2024 #. Thank you for your support.
Say donut, 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 donut. Hey, donut, 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 donut. Donut, donut. Then come cotton, donut, donut, donut. Malaria, super donut. Everybody follow not sa malaria. A 3D till no not now. Won't tell malaria too. Won't popo. Won't win the day. I want the no donut. A tobacco. No donut. A damien no. No donut. A damien sa. No donut. Malaria super donut. No. Donut scatter malaria. Lonat ide scatter malaria.
A quality product from Blaze GVS Pharma. Yenshishemu hu se malaria wa wumojam ansana wanum Lonat. Na nam yensearch na malaria no daso wa ko hu dokota.
This advert is FDA approved.
Thanks for staying with us here on Newsnight. I am Emefa Apawu, and this is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. We start off from Parliament, where the minority on Parliament's Mines and Energy Committee has turned its guns on the Finance and Agric Ministries in the payment of $12 million to MS Power China International for no work done. The Pugu Dam, which is estimated to cost $1 billion, was expected to have been completed by now. Well, 6 months to the end of the Akufo-Addo tenure, not much has been done to derive the benefit from the project, even though $12 million has been paid to the contractors. Well, at a recent Public Accounts Committee sitting, it came to light that government has made the final payment to the contractors. Listen.
Somewhere you will see final payment for construction of the Kwalago irrigation project. The question is, I thought probably before payments are made, contractors present certificates, because when you get to Kwalago, there's nothing there. There's no even a pole. There's no even a signboard. And if the contractor is taking $11 million, there's nothing. So what certificate was presented before this money was paid? That's my question.
I think the amount you're referring to was paid in 2021, not 2022. And the auditors would have to tell us, because they must have cited their documentations before they wrote this report.
Auditors, could you help us out over here?
Honorable Chair, Controller instructed them to pay, and they paid. We are not aware whether the project has been completed or there's nothing ongoing.
I'm not happy with the response from the auditors, because as part of the audit, they simply don't verify payment regularities. They do in situ inspection of projects. I seek your leave to demand that the documents based upon which these payments was made should be furnished. We should be furnished a copy.
Well, so that's what transpired at the Public Accounts Committee sitting. Now, this prompted some NDC members of the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament to visit the site of this particular project. Ranking member of the committee, John Jinapor, described the situation as scandalous.
That so far, almost $12 million has been paid to the contractor. At today's exchange rate of about 16 CD, that translates to about 192 million Ghana cedis. And as you can see, nothing, and I mean nothing, is being done yet. This is the taxpayers' money wasted. We visited the site for the contractor, and you can attest, the contractor has packed and left site. Not only has he abandoned the project, the chippings that he brought there, the few blocks that were molded to even construct the site, our information is that those blocks have been sold. The chippings has equally been sold, and so the taxpayers' money has gone down the drain. We find this development very, very unfortunate. From all intents and purposes, this was nothing but an election gimmick to hoodwink the people. Right after the elections, nothing has happened. And so this can best be described as a scam. This project can generate 60 megawatts of hydropower, 50 megawatts of solar power, and irrigate thousands and thousands of lands for rice production and other crops.
Well, that's not all. He says the minority's next line of action will be to trigger the necessary parliamentary processes to hold those responsible for the malfeasance accountable.
I mean, under this administration, they can't do it. And the Vice President says that he is committed to securing...
It remains a priority for
you. You have 5 months to leave office. What priority?
In the event that he becomes president.
That will not happen. That will not happen. And that must not happen. This guy should leave office, so we investigate them. This guy should leave office, so that just as we were subjected to all the scrutiny, including bringing military men to our houses and dragging us out with AK-47s, we wouldn't do that. But let's subject all of them. This 12 million, somebody must answer for it. Dr. Bawumia cannot million. He would not prosecute his own. So it cannot even happen. We must not even contemplate it. Let them live. They've had 8 years. We did the feasibility. We secured funding. We handed over to them. They've messed it up. They've shown that they don't have the take. They don't have what it takes. They don't have the goodwill. They don't have even the knowledge to deal with such projects. So clearly, what Dr. Bawumia is saying is nothing but an election gimmick, and I think that nobody should fall for that. So there are two strands.
Right.
Next month when we resume, we're going to file all the necessary parliamentary processes. I'll brief minority leader tomorrow, and then we'll activate the parliamentary processes. We may summon the minister. We may constitute a committee to inquire and to get the facts.
That's John Jinapo there. He's on the minority side of the Mines and Energy Committee. Thankfully, the chairman of the Mines and Energy Committee, Samuel Atachia, joins us on the line with more on this. But I also have my colleague, Albert Sorry. He's our Upper East Regional Correspondent. Mr. Atachia, please stay with me and let my colleague, Albert Sorry, paint a picture of the situation to us, at least from our account, what we've witnessed so far. Albert, you may have visited the length and breadth of the site of this Pugu Dam. What can you report?
Yes, Emefa. So nothing has changed since we first reported about the Pugu multipurpose dam and the state of its construction in the year 2022 in September. When I visited the place for the first time, clearly it showed that the contractor who had built a campsite 2 years before then had packed all his equipment and left the site. And apart from the stakeholder consultations and community engagement they had done in preparation for the construction, nothing else had been done. When we returned this past Saturday with the Honorable John Jinapo and his team, nothing had changed. It was the same thing. There was nothing on the site, and there was no sign of a dam or any construction whatsoever.
Okay, but you've been interacting with residents as well. What has been their reaction so far, knowing that it was a key promise that was made to them?
So a lot of them feel disappointed because one of the things that had been done was that some of them even had to present documents for their lands because they were told some of them would lose their lands in the course of the construction, and so they may have to be compensated for it. So they were very highly expectant of the project, and so a lot of them have been expressing disappointment about the whole project and the fact that it has not materialized.
I know how detailed you are, Albert. I'm sure that you've been finding out, at least, where the contractors even on site. You talked about their makeshift, apartments that were there. Were they on site at the time you visited? And I'm sure you've been trying to find out and get some answers from them. What exactly have they been able to tell you?
Okay, so in 2022, when we visited, by then they had already evacuated. They had taken down the campsite and left. But the first time when I visited in the year 2020, this was also after there were a lot of floods. So we went there to try and find out where they had gotten to with the construction of the dam. The campsite was there, but it was actually fenced. It was barricaded, and then there was just one security guard who was in charge of the place. And so he was the one who told us that they have their equipment here, and he had been asked to look after it. But the contractors themselves were not on the site at the time that we first visited. And in the rest of our visits to the place, we never met any of them. So we didn't get a chance to speak with them.
Okay, that's my colleague Albert Sorry painting a picture of the situation on the ground to us. We'll get to hear from the consultant to the Pugu Dam project as well. But thankfully also, like I said, the chairman of the Mines and Energy Committee, Mr. Samuel Atachia, is with us on the phone. We are grateful for your time once again, and thanks for staying with us and being patient with us. Really, I bet you are concerned about this Pugu Dam project. The fact that it is emerging that some $12 million or maybe more has been paid to the contractors, yet no work done. You've been finding out. What exactly is your briefing on this matter?
Well, nobody should emphasize the importance of the Pugu Dam. It has the capacity to generate electricity. It is also a huge source of mechanization in terms of water sources. So if you want to do agricultural mechanization, the Pugu Dam is so strategic, especially in that area of Ghana. So I think my ranking, Honorable Jinapo is right. about the multiple benefits of the Pugu Dam. But what he said, which I thought we should look at critically, he never pointed out to the fact that the 12 million United States dollars that is being alleged to have been paid to the contractor is being used as the campaign funds of the vice president. So he's not pointing to that at all. So I thought what is very critical for us to find out, and so far I don't see that the conversation is getting to that area, is who is this contractor who is alleged to have shortchanged the people of Ghana 12 million United States dollars, and yet the projects are not taking off at all. This contractor, why is he not doing what is expected of him? The consultant to the project, what is his audit in relation to the application of the 12 million US dollars to the project? These are the outstanding matters which are so critical before we feed the general public with sometimes very, very, very inflammatory matters of this nature. Because the contractor must be alive. It is not a politician who has misapplied the 12 million that is being alleged has been paid to the contractor.
You may have missed the parliamentary proceedings, at least the Public Accounts Committee sitting. You heard your colleagues interrogate, at least. We heard the BOG, they raised issues about the auditors also. All they say is the controller instructed payments to be made, and that's all that happened. And this was also sanctioned by the finance and agric ministers in this particular payment. You must be aware of this, aren't you?
I'm not aware of that at all. I'm saying that whatever it is, you will know the recipient of the money. Mm-hmm. If monies are approved by a minister that this is something that will help Ghana, he doesn't become the beneficiary of the money, the monies he approves. But the contractor is the recipient of the $12 million.
And who is holding this contractor accountable? It certainly can be us.
In fact, now that it's come to the fore strong that this is the matter, everybody can hold this contractor accountable, including Joy FM. That you brought a matter to the fore, the parliamentary committee also can bring it up, and then he's dealt with according to law. Because if the contractor cannot justify to the ministry how the Ministry of Agric, wherever this thing was piloted from, how this, $12 million, was applied, then we are not serious. So I'm very glad that having raised this very critical issue, and Honorable Jinapo saying that he prompt Parliament to go into this matter, the first point of the engagement is to bring the contractor. Maybe with a consultant as well. And then we begin to grow the contractor that having received $12 million, if there's documentary evidence that effect, how did you apply it? Why have you abandoned site? You think Ghana's $12 million is for free? Then that is when the interrogation starts. But sometimes we cover everything as political. Because some contractors too can be very funny. They receive the money and then probably they abandon the project. So I'm not saying this is what the contractor has done, but let's probe into what has happened. And the first, person we should engage is the contractor. Because the allegation is that it is not a politician who is a beneficiary of the $12 million. But a contractor.
In this case, you have more power than Joy FM does, at least.
No, but you've done your best.
At least we've brought it to the fore. Mm-hmm. I'm asking.
This conversation is good for everybody.
Exactly.
That by the sheer fact that you are leading in this conversation, I will start also to find a contractor.
Great.
The parliament that I'm a part of, and Jinapo is a part of, we find a contractor and begin to get the proper committee to look into this matter, because it is, if it is true, embarrassing. And we are bleeding the nation. If somebody can just put away $12 million US dollars and he's not even apply the monies to a very critical project of consequence to this country.
And knowing that it was a key promise, at least by your government or your party for that matter, are you concerned that at least you were not able to see this through for it to happen?
Well, I'm very much concerned. Any project which is not taking off and is going to help the people of Ghana is a concern. But let's find out why has it not taken off.
Okay.
If it is somebody's ineptitude, we'll find out. If it is a defalcation of public funds, we'll find out. And then we'll be sure that, this is the reason why a major promise of this government has not taken off.
Well, Mr. Atachia, we'll look forward to that parliamentary probe and then also you asking questions and leading us. We are grateful. That's Samuel Atachia. He's chairman of the Mines and Energy Committee. And I've been talking about the consultant in all this. At least we'll try to find that contractor and see if we can get some answers from them. And definitely we're doing that. But thankfully, Professor David Miller, he's a consultant to the Pugu Dam project. He joins us on the line. We are grateful for your time. Please tell me, how come this $12 million was paid to the contractor, yet no work has been done. What happened?
Good evening, and good evening to your listeners. I don't know why you are querying me about payments for Pugu Dam.
I'm hoping that you've also tried to find some answers.
Yes, but I am not the consultant for Pugu Dam. I'm saying that I did a consultancy, the stakeholder engagement, for the work that was done by the designers of the dam on the environmental impact as far as the stakeholders' view was concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And in my work, I drew attention, that was in 2021,
okay,
to the fact that, first of all, the dam has the name Pugu, but it's not cited in Pugu.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in Upper East region. It's in Northwest region, Northeast region. Then, among other things, it has other facilities attached to it. It's quite recently that the issue of $12 million came up.
Mm-hmm.
And privately, because I was engaged with working with stakeholders, we are also preparing our position paper on advocacy. But we are not doing it from a financial eye. We don't know whether somebody took 12 million or didn't take.
Mm-hmm.
Even the cost of the dam, I did raise in an earlier discussion that if you look at the documents, the initial design was revised.
Okay.
And the dam was reduced in size. And once you reduce the dam size, the design and cost and everything goes down. It was reduced by 5 meters. So that is how far I know about the financials.
Okay.
But in terms of a facility that is supposed to renew to the benefits of farmers, that is a different ballgame. And for us, we don't care whether it is NDC who wins or MPP who wins. Whoever wants to address the totality of Pugu Dam project, we are proffering suggestions to such a person, not financial, technical suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is that the benefits of the dam is not only for northern Ghana, it's for 7 regions, based on my technical analysis of the document and what I know about dams. It's for the benefits, northern, upper east, upper west, Savannah, Oti, the northern part of Oti, northern part of Brong-Ahafo. So 7 regions are the beneficiaries of this dam. And there are many other spin-offs that will benefit people even as far down as to Akosomo.
Okay.
So it is a national project as far as we are concerned. And hence we are positioning ourselves not to go one way or the other, but to hold anybody who comes into power after these elections accountable to the people of the 7 regions.
But so far, Prof.
Mm-hmm. So people say it's a game changer for northern Ghana, and therefore it becomes a big sectional. It is for 7 regions, and there's evidence to show that. So that is the part we are advocating. Now the issue of the money has come up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not a financial person. I even do not know how much the dam costs based on the technical analysis. Because if you have revised the dam, I don't still expect the dam to cost the same as the original cost. And the designs are there, everything is done. But the costings, the budgets are not available.
But
you understand where I'm coming from?
I get you, but I'm sure that with the extensive work that you've done when it comes to this particular dam, and you've been talking about the benefits and the number of regions that will be benefiting from this, now that it's coming up that some $12 million has been paid to this particular contractor, we're told it's a Chinese contractor, yet no follow-up, no work has been done. Do you understand what exactly happened?
Yes, it's good to query that. I'm not saying don't query it.
Mm-hmm.
And those who have the power or the muscle to fight the financials should go ahead. But I'm saying that much as the financial fighting is going on, the technical benefits should be brought to bear so that the generality of the Ghanaian population will know what we are about to lose or what we've been losing over years.
Is it possible that we may have lost more than the $12 million?
Being a technical person, I will say yes. If you tell me that this is the final payment for a project, technically, you pay 30%, then you pay about 50% for consultancies, and then you pay another 30% or so. So the chunk is paid around the middle. That is what technically even World Bank projects are paid for. And EU projects, that's how they pay. They give you something small, which is 30%. Then there is a 50 or 40% before the last 30%. So if you ask me as a technical person, I'll take the last payment as 30% or less.
Okay, but thankfully you also did at least some consultancy for this project. If I may, how much were you paid?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
No, that is 2021. I don't know how much I was paid. I don't remember.
Okay.
But I must say that it is not payment like an external consultant.
Okay.
Because I say it's a stakeholder consultation.
Agree. I got that. I got that earlier. So I was wondering how much went into
contractor or whoever contractor.
Okay, I was just hoping I could get a range of how much went into that public engagement.
Oh, it's not that much. I don't think it's up to 30,000 Ghana cedis.
Okay. Well, out of the $12 million, it looks like you didn't get much. Thank you so much.
It's not up to 30,000. It's not up to even $30,000.
Dollars.
Under EPA.
Okay, dollars you mean, not cedis.
Yeah, dollars.
Okay. We are grateful.
Because it has the community costs as well.
Exactly.
The organizational costs and payment for community meetings and so on.
It's
about $30,000, I would say.
Would you back a parliamentary probe into how this project has been stalled?
You say?
Would you back a parliamentary probe into why the project has stalled?
Well, anything that will do a cleanup.
Okay.
But my position is that shouldn't hold back the project. It's so critical. Look, this project is about 90 or so years old, 70 years old, since independence. It's not a project of today. In fact, my calculation, I'm just referring to a document, 70 years old.
Yeah.
Only that it has been revised and redesigned, and various commitments have been made, including Atamilson's time, the late Atamilson and so on and so forth. The problem was the funding that delayed it.
Okay.
But MPP came with a window for using GOT. You see, that's why they were able to start something. But now, if we say that has been misinterpreted, fine. The powers that be, you deal with it.
Okay. We are grateful. Professor David Miller is a consultant at some point for the project. He did the public engagement on this matter. We're bringing in George Riafe shortly. There's more in the world of business, but I've been telling you that the PRLC's March 2024 validation report has revealed that ECG has for the first time complied fully with payments to energy sector players under the cash waterfall mechanism. According to the report, ECG recorded revenue worth more than 1 billion cedis in March 2024 and has made payments to sector players, including independent power producers. While the Joy News Research Desk has been combing through this particular report, they are breaking it down for us. They're so nice to make us understand this. And Kofi J is in the studio with me. So, Kofi, let's start with the exact amount ECG collected in the period under review.
Well, Emefa, ECG's revenues went up by some 20% in March 2024 compared to that of February. Now, the total revenues reported for March was approximately 1.003 billion Ghana cedis. Now, per our computations from available PRC reports, ECG has collected some 2.7 billion Ghana cedis in the first quarter of this year. Now, they collected 820.5 million in January, 836.8 million in February, and now 1.03 billion in March, bringing the total to 2.7 billion Ghana cedis. In fact, the last time ECG actually collected revenue over 1 billion Ghana cedis was somewhere November 2023.
Interesting. But how was this revenue shared?
So out of the over 1 billion Ghana cedis, 620.2 million was paid to 7 independent power producers, including WAPCO. The remaining 334.84 million Ghana cedis was allocated to state-owned enterprises, including Bui, Gridco, and ECG itself, and other regulators. Now, what we are learning is that per the report, there were no arrears for the month of March 2024, Emefa.
Well, we understand the report also captured payments made to WAPCO, like you've been mentioning.
Yeah.
What more do we know?
So, in fact, 7 IPPs and WAPCO were paid $43 million.
Okay.
Now, for the first time, WAPCO was captured as Category A, which means priority was placed on WAPCO. The total amount paid to WAPCO was $4 million in March for the provision of natural gas and then also giving their pipelines for transportation.
Okay, staying on the report, we know that the Finance Ministry is supposed to make some top-up payments so the energy sector doesn't pile up additional debt. What did the report say exactly about that?
Well, so the only negative in that report is the non-payment or non-compliance by the Finance Ministry. Now, according to the PRC report, the Ministry of Finance, and I quote, is expected to release an amount of 159.93 million Ghana cedis to make up for the shortfalls in March 2024. The projected shortfall for the entire year is over 23 billion Ghana cedis. Now, they say since August 2023, the Ministry of Finance has not made any amount for the shortfalls, Emefa. And if you compute, we are talking about close to 1.4 billion Ghana cedis that the Finance Ministry is supposed to pay, and they've not paid.
Thank you very much, Kofi J. Nice glasses, by the way, and they always make it easy for us to break down all these figures. It's time for business. George Wiafe is here. A lot happening on a Monday. MPC, amongst others. What do we know?
You're right on that one. And the Bank of Ghana, or call it the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana, and its chairman, Dr. Ernest Addison, is optimistic that some additional measures that it has rolled out to stabilize cedi will indeed get us the desired results. And Emefa, the value of Ghana's economy has crossed the 1 trillion cedi mark. But how is the current depreciation also dropping the value in dollar terms as well? The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business.
Can you hear it? The freedom in our songs, the sound of liberty that rings from Kaswa to Karaga, from Tamale to Takoradi. It's in the pestles that pound from coast to coast. It's in the busy offices, the crowded streets, and the noisy schools. It's in the wisdom of our elders and in the laughter of our children. It's in seeing how far we've come and looking at how much we can grow. It's in knowing that still Ghana go be. MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHF, Kumasi KNUST campus, UC ABC Cape Coast and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209 or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Water is needed all day, all night. So, remember Syntex tank all day, all night. 7 years warranty. Select any color for free. In no the crack, in no the spoil. Call Accra on 0244 335 168. Kumasi 0505 555 666. Syntex tank. A strong, a tough. Water is needed all day, all night. So, remember Syntex tank all day, all night. 7 years warranty. Select any color for free. In no the crack, in no the spoil. Call Accra on 0244 335 168. Kumasi 0505 555 666. Syntex tank. A strong, a tough.
Choboy! We have a new leader in town. OBRNTA. Amafo. Madam was Sibebre. When him say my baby, maybe mamu more charcoal for whiter teeth. More charcoal. Not only that, maybe mamu lemon. More lemon. Zinc for fresher breath. More zinc. And fluoride for stronger teeth.
Introducing the new President Charcoal Pack with more power with a combination of charcoal and lemon for naturally whiter teeth. Grab yours now. This advert is FDA approved.
Hello, my name is Mami Akuya, an entrepreneur and a mother of two. My work keeps me busy most of the time, and sometimes it takes me away from my family. But the safety and health of my family is very important to me. As a working mother, I cannot afford to take any chances when it comes to matters of health. That is why I signed up for a family health care plan from Equity Health Insurance. My family and I have access to over 700 hospitals, clinics, opticians, dentists, pharmacies, and diagnostic centers across the length and breadth of Ghana. With Equity Health Insurance, I no longer have to worry about medical bills. Anytime a member of my family visits a hospital, Equity Health Insurance has got my family and I covered. What about you? Who has got you covered?
Call Equity Health Insurance on 050-660-7910 and talk to them about your family health needs now. Visit equityhealthinsurance.com for more information. Equity Health Insurance, here for you.
Showtime! Good life time! Paddy, how is your good life?
Hey, before you attack that sumptuous variety of foods with Toto, do yourself a favor.
Wash your hands with soap under running water, your bowl before you eat, and at all other critical moments. That is,
before you cook, after you visit the toilet, change your baby's diaper,
and when you return home from anywhere.
Let's all come aboard Good Life by washing our hands with soap under running water and at all other critical moments to keep the germs away from our family. Good Life, live it well. It's an everyday thing. Good Life from Ghana Health Service and partners with support from USAID.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Let's first bring you some reactions to the decision by the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, to keep the policy rate at 29%. Economist Dr. Dosu Sarkodie has described the decision as a prudent one, and he's been speaking more on Joy Business.
To compensate investors who are uncertain about the economy and also force them to hold your papers and then bonds. And this could be a counter negative action from the Bank of Ghana.
Well, we all expect a single digit policy rate, but the circumstances in which we all find ourselves does not warrant a further reduction in the policy rate. Because we are still in the process of fighting inflation. The fight against inflation is to be done by all, but BOG is just using the tools available to it, which is the monetary policy tools. And so they mentioned the uncertainties which has been fueled by the geopolitical tensions. They mentioned the fiscal consolidation which is on course. And so every businessman and woman would expect a lower policy rate to cause a lower lending rate and also a lower borrowing cost. But unfortunately, BOG can do little about it.
And that is the economist, Dr. Edu Owusu Sarkodie, sharing his thoughts about the Bank of Ghana decision to keep the policy rate at 29%. Now, that is expected to impact on the cost of borrowing going forward, meaning that in the outlook, maybe things might not change that much when it comes to the cost of securing the credit from your commercial bank. Now, Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison is optimistic that fresh measures introduced to stabilize the Ghana cedi would yield the desired result. The governor of the Bank of Ghana discloses after the policy rate was kept at 29%.
To interact very much with a lot of the remittance transfer operators. And it's clear that most of them work with both the fintechs and the banks. So these foreign exchange resources associated with remittances are placed in the nostril balances of our commercial banks, and the banks have access to those resources to finance imports. So it comes to the broader Ghanaian banking system. I'm not sure if the central bank wants to go and chase those resources also to build reserves. At the moment, we don't intend taking those resources from the commercial banks. I think that the commercial banks should have access to the remittance flows to finance economic activity.
And that is the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison. Now, economist Professor Peter Korte is warning that unless the Bank of Ghana moves swiftly and enforces the foreign exchange rules, recent measures by the government to stabilize the city may not get out the expected results. Now, Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam last week announced a series of measures to deal with the current pressure on the Ghana city, including the expectation of some more than $2 billion inflows coming from our donors. But Professor Peter Korte says that the expected stability of the city might elude us if it's not complemented by some regulatory enforcement.
In every developed or developing economy that aims to achieve price stability, you cannot just walk in and buy forests without leaving traces of that and walk away. And I think that is what we have allowed. I think we need to formalize the black market if we want it to exist. Otherwise, we clamp down on the black market. If we don't do that, we're just putting water in a basket and we'll lose all this forest that flows in. Nigeria is struggling with forests, and they can walk into Ghana, buy forests, and move it out.
Economist Professor Peter Korte. Now, the value of Ghana's economy has crossed 1 trillion Ghana cedis. Now, this was captured in the latest Bank of Ghana economic and financial data. The new data may give investors some signal that the economy is expanding and they could be assured of some good returns when they place their capital in the economy. It could also be used to attract funding from Ghana's development partners. But for some, the huge value expected in dollars may have been dashed as a result of the recent depreciation of the Ghana cedi. In dollar terms, it might be worth more than $70 billion. Now, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia says the current tax system is complex and is promising to introduce new simplified ones to deal with the challenges facing businesses. He disclosed this at the 8th Ghana CEO Summit in Accra.
I want to introduce a new tax system in Ghana. I don't want to tinker with the existing tax system. I want a new tax system. And I believe that Ghana would benefit from a flat tax system. Makes it very easy, makes it very transparent, and easy to comply. So next year, God willing, when I am president, by the grace of God, I'm bringing in this new tax system, and I'm going to usher in a tax amnesty that will essentially, up to a certain year, wipe out all tax obligations, and we are all going to start afresh on a clean slate.
And that is the Vice President, Dr. Amadou Bawumia. And still on the CEO Summit, our own the Chief Operating Officer at Multimedia Group, Kenan Sa, was also awarded for excelling in the radio space. And this is a summit that brings together all those who matter in the corporate world to deliberate on issues affecting chief executives, how they outlook and all the rest. And a session of that program as well was used to recognize
chief executives that have distinguished themselves in several spaces,
And
from
definitely Ken
media
deserves this,
to
yeah.
manufacturing to hospitality, and our own Ken Ansah made all of us proud.
We'll get to that shortly. Let me do some of your messages that you sent. Thank you very much, George. This one from Nanekia Mwabwating at Blikuma Central says the consultant and the contractor should be called to answer questions on why monies were paid for the construction of Pugu Dam, yet there's no evidence of work being done. This should not be difficult for Parliament to probe rather than play needless politics with the subject matter, he says. Now, this one from Sena Hateka says, John Jinapo, what he said is really true. He wants some immediate action taking. Sarah Manful says our leaders are not ready to tell or expose the truth to us, because if they don't take care, the issues are coming from top management. That's why those you are interviewing doesn't want to be plain on the matter. This one from Ben Dokbrame. He says, how could a contractor be paid with taxpayers' money and no work seen? Who are the supervisors of this project? They should be questioned. Comrade Issa Tamimu says, okay, it goes on. He's talking about the AG and his concerns about that. And Professor Intema says Japa should save himself by going all out to open the Pandora box, else he stands the risk of being jailed. Well, matters from all the way from Top Story up until now, you've been commenting on them. Let's do sports. Musbao is here.
Yeah, Emefa, well, it's a darling club, Heart of Folk. They are in big trouble at the moment. And their coach has come under increase in pressure. Their coach, Abubakar Ouattara, he's come under increase in pressure to turn the fortunes of the club around as the team faces a fierce relegation battle in the final stretch of the Ghana Premier League. Now, this follows a disappointing 2 goals to defeat to our rivals Asante Kotoko on Sunday at Barbara Sports Stadium. That defeat has left them 2 points away from the danger zone. And some fans have clearly been left frustrated, and they didn't hide that at all.
We can play the ball for free. We deserve to go on relegation. Has of Folk deserve to play Division 1. I'm telling you for a fact.
By ball, no, one players in our House of Folk, no, almost deserve some House of Folk.
Yeah, just hear one fan saying that the players playing for Heart of Folk do not deserve to play for the club. 2 points above the relegation zone. The final 3 games, first against Nations FC, then against Great Olympics, then against Bechem United. They need to try and pick the points in these games. Olympics is lying 17th. Olympics is actually in the relegation zone.
Oh, okay.
And Heart of Folk is lying just above them. 2 points above them.
Okay.
So it's a very dicey situation. However, the head coach has admitted the challenges they're facing, and he says he's calling for collective responsibility on the part of the players and his part to ensure that they turn things around.
The team, we are under pressure. Don't take me alone. Take the, all the team. We are under pressure because we need the points to survive. I tell you the last time. The 3 remaining games, we need the points. We don't have any choice. We need the points. To get the points, we must score. To score, play simple game. It's simple. Or that's the reality of the football. When you can't score, you can't play well. Look at taking the chance.
Yeah, so that's Abubakar Ouattara, the Ivorian tactician who's handling Heart of Folk. So the next game is against Nations FC at the Crash Sports Stadium. So all Heart of Folk fans need to turn out there and support the team, because it's quite a very...
Will it change the performance?
Yeah, I mean, they need to get the results come Sunday. Other than that, Division 1 does not look good for Heart of Folk at all.
Is a smack on your face for me. Musbao, thank you very much. Right. Let's talk about the quality of air in Accra and battling her own allergies. Ivy Enyonam found relief in the greenery of her room. Now, through her program, Sip and Soil, she's on a mission to spread the leafy gospel, teaching others in a fun and engaging way how indoor plants can combat air pollution. Clean Air Beat reporter Michael Ashali has more.
In a plush restaurant in the heart of Accra, music fills the air. Over 24 patrons are seated, but not for a meal. Instead of cutlery sets, they hold paint brushes. With each stroke, they transform their flower pots into remarkable pieces.
I am looking for ways to encourage people and to educate people about clean air.
After trying so many therapies to deal with her spontaneous allergies without success, Ivy Enyonam Kufe settled on a rather unconventional therapy, indoor plants.
I have a history of asthma. I want something that will clean my air. And I went online because my air was bad and so I was always sick. So I went online and saw plants that can clean your air. And that's how I started.
Indoor air pollutants are everyday substances that can affect the air quality at home. These include dust, pet dander, mold, and chemicals from cleaning products or furniture, smoke from cooking, as well as gas from heaters or stoves. These pollutants can potentially cause allergies, asthma, and other health problems.
So plants are able to absorb these free radicals.
Dr. Gladys Ode Shringer is a plant taxonomist and a lecturer at the University of Ghana. Despite the limited evidence supporting the air purifying effect of indoor plants, she remains convinced otherwise.
Particular plants absorb particular air pollutants. So depending on what exactly you are trying to curb. But generally, if you want fresh air, having plants indoor will be a great thing. Each plant may be able to absorb certain pollutants. So variety is the spice of life. When you have different types, then you be able to take care of most of your indoor pollutions.
Ivy Enyunam looks forward to the day when everyone will be concerned about the air they breathe, so that from person to person, home after home, community to community, we will passionately spread the word and inspire others to prioritize air quality.
And I'm not going to stop until there's every plant or there's a plant in every space.
Sip and soil. A fun and intuitive way to teach the next generation of plant lovers.
This is literally my first spot that I've painted and I'm very proud of.
Actress Adoma has accepted the challenge.
So proud of myself, so you have no idea.
For 3 months?
Yeah, since February. They've been crawling out of the pots. So before, in a week, I killed a cactus. That should tell you something. I killed a cactus. It's very necessary because at this rate, we might not have a Ghana in a few years. If we keep cutting, please let's not cut trees. If we keep cutting trees and not, caring about plants, yeah.
In the quest for cleaner air, nurturing indoor plants can be a powerful ally, bringing the purifying touch of nature into our homes. This story was a collaboration with New Narratives. Funding was provided by the Clean Air Fund. The funder had no say in the content of the story.
For Ivy and her friends, this is just the beginning. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
Now let's get into the election headquarters before we go. And your election headquarters is made possible by Petrol Sol, your clean fuel in full quantity. SIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, SIMA, AICPA and SIMA together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, the German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental Wellness and Beauty. We have the Chopbox Technologies, a convenience service, and Youth Bridge Foundation. Well, tonight...
Our beloved country, Ghana, has become a bankrupt, collapsed economy due to poor leadership of almost 8 years. This leadership has failed Ghanaians and yet refuses to accept or even take responsibility for the most reckless management of our economy known in previous history. This has plunged our nation into an unprecedented economic crisis and is reported to have pushed more than 800,000 of our fellow citizens below the poverty line. Unemployment has jumped to 14.7% from 8.5% in 2017, the highest level recorded in the history of the Fourth Republic.
Well, it's a battle of flag bearers as John Dramani Mahama and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia go at each other over who ran the economy better at the 8th CEO Summit being held here in Accra. Well, you just heard that submission by former President John Dramani Mahama. My colleague Kenneth Jesse was there. He's returned from the summit. So right after this particular statement by John Dramani Mahama, something happened. Tell me more.
So we were there and then the MC announced that there's a breaking news. What's the breaking news? He said Bawumia had just texted him that he wants to respond to the former president because Bawumia is in far away Canada, and then Bawumia was given the opportunity to also speak. He said quite a lot of things. he did mention that, during John Mahama's time, there was no economic crisis, there was no COVID-19, but he created a lot of unemployment and also brought us to himself.
An economy that has collapsed, but that collapsed economy is performing better than your economy that you left us. We have created more jobs, 2.1 million jobs, than any government in the Fourth Republic. He was creating unemployment with Dumso and everything. We are creating jobs, 1.2 million jobs in the public sector, 975,000 jobs in the private sector. And all of this is data that we have put out for everybody. We've constructed more roads than any other government in the Fourth Republic, done more railways, done more airports, built more public libraries than any other government in the.
And that was a direct response right after the former president spoke. What was the reaction in the room?
Well, the former president was seated in the front row. I mean, you looked at his demeanor. It was more like a friendly, smile on his face, because the vice president did mention that the president or the former president spoke as if he lived on Mars, although he was president before. So it was an interesting banter today.
Well, that's a face-off, and we have a mashup of that for you. I'll bring that to you. But of course, we won big there as well. COO of the Multimedia Group was adjudged the CEO of the Year in the media category. Ken Ansah.
CEO of the Year, Media, Radio, Multimedia Group, Mr. Ken Ansah.
Oh, certainly proud of you, Ken Ansah. Congratulations on winning big this time. And that's how we wrap up today's edition of Newsnight. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. And Nana Sakwa is up next with That's My Opinion. Chiefs will do politics. I leave you in the safe hands of the battle of the two presidential candidates. I am Emefa Apawu.
Our beloved country, Ghana, has become a bankrupt, collapsed economy due to poor leadership of almost 8 years. This leadership has failed Ghanaians and yet refuses to accept or even take responsibility for the most reckless management of our economy known in previous history.
An economy that has collapsed, but that collapsed economy is performing better than your economy that you left us. We have created more jobs, 2.1 million jobs, than any government in the Fourth Republic. He was creating unemployment with Dumso and everything.
This government appears unconcerned or unwilling to cut expenditure and continues to spend more on creature comforts instead of investing in the transformational infrastructure that will propel this nation forward. Corruption has become a new normal, and Ghanaians have become numb to the growing scandals that continue to be exposed daily.
The Northern Development Authority has completed about 304 projects so far. And so we are not talking about guinea fowl projects or tree planting projects.
Lankai, who has striven to build an empire in the world of men, loses everything.